To the victor goes the spoils. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Exactly a week ago, my angle was titled, "We've Already Won." Indeed, just a few days into Operation Epic Fury, it was obvious that America had already destroyed the core elements of Iran's nuclear and missile capability, along with the regime's leadership that had been pursuing death and destruction for decades. And today, the president, although not formally declaring victory, sure came close.
You've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
The beginning, it's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up, and they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you know, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further.
Exactly right. And contrary to what some fear, this president is keenly attuned to what we need to do to advance our interests, to keep us safe, and, of course, going forward to propel our economy. And that does not include another drawn-out conflict in the Middle East. More than any commander-in-chief since perhaps Eisenhower, President Trump is aware that Americans' tolerance and patience is not unlimited.
You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
And unlike his recent predecessors, he also believes Americans should be made whole after such a conflict. So after we captured Maduro, the U.S. moved in quickly to secure deals on gold and minerals. And China, by all accounts, all reporting, was already in the process of trying to do this for themselves. But the Trump administration cut them off at the pass.
We signed the first licenses for critical minerals to start flowing and precious metals. On Friday, there was $100 million of gold that came from Venezuela to the United States.
This makes sense to me because it's a win-win for the U.S. and for the people of Venezuela, because they did not have efficient mining capability. We do. Why would any U.S. president let this opportunity slip through our hands? Well, the answer here is Trump will not do that. But the usual suspects berated then private citizen Trump, remember, when he railed against Bush, President Bush, for failing himself to take control of Iraqi oil fields after that invasion.
I have long said that we should have kept the oil in Iraq. I was saying this constantly and consistently to whoever would listen. I said, keep the oil, keep the oil, keep the oil. If they had listened to me then, we would have had the economic benefits of the oil.
Of course, Trump was right. And into the vacuum, China is always happy to step in. And they have. Today, China is the largest foreign investor and operator in Iraqi oil production, both in terms of project share and strategic involvement in developing fields. The percentage comparison, well, China to the United States is stunning. S&P Global estimates that Chinese companies operate 7.27% of Iraq's oil and gas development projects, the largest slice of any country besides Iraq. American companies own less than 2%. So we cannot let this same dynamic develop in Iran after the hostilities wrap, despite China's previous investments there, of course, and continued oil dependence. Now, for this reason, President Trump is not going to take any options off the table. Not on troop deployments, not on Iranian oil production. Why telegraph that to our enemies? When President Trump had the chance to advance our geopolitical interests, he took that chance, and it's always a risk. He's weighing the risks. He's earned the benefit of our doubt here. If there is a way to help manage and rebuild, maybe with a joint venture in place, the Iranian oil fields, without disproportionate risk to our troops and our overall geopolitical position, what's the argument against doing this? Why wouldn't it make sense? Now, obviously, whoever ends up in power would have to be a willing partner. There are a lot of ifs here, no doubt about that. But he's the president of the United States. He is supposed to be looking out for our interests. And if he's not breaking any U.S. law, and he is not, he should do this. But wait. The press and the Democrats, mostly those people, want any such plan revealed right now. Now, this notion today that we can't fight anyone or eliminate any enemy unless we have a plan to fix the entire country afterward is just absurd. I mean, let alone should Trump be required to sit down with the Washington Post and outline his exact plans. Now, the upshot is this. We had the chance to take out an enemy of the United States who threatened and harassed us, threatened to destroy us and our allies in the region for decades. Trump is doing the right thing here. He saw that opportunity and he took it. So the panic pushers are, as usual, wrong here. The market recognizes today a sell-off at the open and then a gradual recovery. And now Donald Trump's going to have to manage this opportunity, ensure that there is no long-term implications, negative implications for the United States. There are going to be momentary setbacks and obviously some tragic human losses. But will the country, our country, be in a stronger geopolitical position, probably economic position? Are we in a better position now than we were 2 weeks ago? I would say absolutely that's the case. Because there's zero reason to believe that Donald Trump is going to get us mired in a never-ending, pointless conflict. If you watched The Angle 7 days ago, you'd know all this. Ditto if you watched Senator Kennedy's interview with Sean Hannity.
We've already won. We will eventually leave Iran after having destroyed their renewed efforts to develop a nuclear weapon, after having destroyed their missile arsenal, after having destroyed their missile launches, after having destroyed their Navy, and the good people of Persia will now have an opportunity to pick their own leadership.
What we have seen over the last week is a clear and strategic and tactical victory for the USA, and a desperate effort by Trump's opponents to make up scenarios that simply are not credible. The truth is, Trump is just better at this stuff than all of them are. When will they learn? And that
Iranian capital has seen better days after being shrouded in a cloud of thick, toxic smoke Saturday when 30 Iranian fuel depots were hit by the Israelis. It looked like the sky was on fire.
It's an absolutely apocalyptic scene here. We've just made it to the Shahran oil depot, which was attacked last night in a massive wave of airstrikes. We heard those going on for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, with massive thuds and then explosions that we could hear. And you can see that thick black smoke through the entire city across all of Tehran. It's been raining this morning in Tehran. There was oil mixed into the rain, so this is definitely a massive incident that is still going on.
We've been at war for a little over a week, and Operation Epic Fury is taking a major toll on the enemy. Iranian missile and drone launches are down around 90%. In the beginning of the war, the regime was firing off well over 100 drones a day at their neighbor. Now, just 18 drones. And we're hitting their drone manufacturing hubs. Plus, their navy's almost non-existent. 51 Iranian ships are at the bottom of the Gulf.
In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, "What quality of ship?" "Excellent, sir. Top of the line." I said, "Why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them?" They said, "It's more fun to sink them." I said, they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says it could get so much worse.
What was the Iranian Navy is largely no more. There'll be more boats to be sunk, for sure. So their ability to project any power in that area in a naval sense is diminishing and will be increasingly diminished. Again, what I want your viewers to understand is this is only just the beginning.
The mullahs are battered and scattered, and there's mass confusion in the ranks. Deputy commanders are fighting without receiving any orders and without any intelligence or radar. Some officers are abandoning their posts. Others are promising to fight to the very end. But Trump says the goal is unconditional surrender, and this is what it'll look like.
It's where they cry uncle, or when they can't fight any longer, there's nobody around to cry uncle.
The mother of all bombers hasn't even joined the fight. The bone bomber, A B-52 capable of carrying 70,000 pounds of explosives, just waiting in a British airbase ready to take off. The president says there are targets in Iran that, if we hit them, it would be so devastating that it would take them years to rebuild. But we haven't hit them because we're waiting to see if they come to their senses.
But we can be clear with the American people that this is not a fair fight, and that's on purpose. Our capabilities are overwhelming compared to what Iran's are. It means we're fighting to win. It means we set the terms. We'll know when they're not capable of fighting. There'll be a point where they'll have no choice but to do that. Whether they know it or not, they will be combat ineffective. They will surrender.
Now there's a new addition to America's Most Wanted, the Ayatollah's son. They just named Khomeini Jr. the new supreme leader. He's a hardliner just like his dad, and he wants revenge. His whole family's been killed, and he doesn't feel like surrendering.
Do you have to take him out? Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new supreme leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran with
Well,
another
I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Very diplomatic by the president, but in reality, the Israelis probably won't let little Ayatollah live much longer. Ayatollah Jr. has gone into hiding. They stashed him away deep in an Iranian cave. And before this, his dad, who was now dead, was really cocky.
They said we have the inalienable right to enrich. They bragged about having 60% enriched fuel, enough for 11 bombs. They told me and Jared, we're not going to give you diplomatically what you couldn't take militarily. So, you know, I think they're going to need a change of attitude.
The president also telling Fox that Iran had 1,200 missiles pointed right at their neighbors. This is what he said just moments ago. Listen.
They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder.
Now that their missile production capabilities are being demolished, the president says, don't expect this to be a forever war.
We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. How good is our military, right? Amazing. How good? Short-term. Short-term.
He was asked, how short?
Mr. President, on Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very soon.
The Iranians are running out of cards. Their plan has been to hunker down and wage economic warfare on their neighbors, raising the costs to the alliance. They've been attacking oil infrastructure and hit 3 tankers. That closed down the strait, sent oil prices to $119 a barrel. They're trying to fracture the coalition and hurt the president's people back at the pump at home. But over the weekend, Trump told the oil tankers to show some guts and start sailing. He promised to protect the strait with the U.S. Navy and U.S. insurance backstops. That loosened things up a little.
The plan is to get oil and natural gas and fertilizer and all the products from the Gulf flowing through the straits before too long. And I may break a little news here, but one large tanker has already gone through the straits with no issues at all.
Ships started crossing the strait. They've been shutting off their transponders to go through undetected. Remember, Iran's flying blind, so they can barely see the ships right off their coastline. The market opened down big, but then closed well up for the day. Crude oil dropping down to $85 a barrel. Trump's warning the regime remnants, don't touch the oil.
We're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world. And I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level.
Iran needs the strait open just as much as we do. Iran gets all their revenue from oil exports. When that strait's closed, they're not getting paid, and the country can't keep the lights on. Once the strait fully reopens and the U.S. Navy controls the traffic and Iran's missiles and drones are fully neutralized, oil is expected to drop down to $50 a barrel. That starves Putin's war machine, and he'll be under pressure to sign a treaty with Ukraine. Putin sees the writing on the wall. He had a phone call with Trump today to talk about a truce. If Trump can end the Iran war and the Ukraine war, it's going to send prices on everything way down. And when his pick for Fed chair gets in this spring and cuts rates, and we get our record tax returns, and the market rallies, this country's really going to feel the boom.
Here we go. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Sit down. Except for you in the robe. Stand up. Good evening, everyone. So Iran just picked the former Supreme Leader's son to run the country. Funeral services are scheduled for Wednesday. Daylight savings time kicked in, and you can already tell spring is just around the corner. In fact, New Yorkers are beginning to urinate outdoors again. And earlier today on Broadway, I saw a hooker carrying a softball mitt. And over in D.C., the seasonal changes are in full flower as Rashida Tlaib's face is starting to shed its winter coat. But Sunday was both International Women's Day and daylight savings, causing many females to complain that they lost an hour of nagging. We love our women. Yesterday, during a speech, President Trump told Latin leaders, "I'm not learning your damn language." Yes. Joe Biden told the same thing to landscapers who maintain his grave. Jesse Jackson Jr. said Joe Biden clearly didn't know the real Jesse Jackson after Joe had spoken at his father's funeral. He was especially annoyed when Biden kept saying he loved the way Mr. Jackson would moonwalk. One of Jeffrey Epstein's prison guards Googled the sex predator minutes before he was found dead. She then tweeted, "Wow, I just met Hillary Clinton." She killed him. Allegedly. Over the weekend, 2 suspected Muslim terrorists threw explosive devices at protesters near Gracie Mansion. Mayor Mamdani said they were just having a friendly throw bomb fight. Lighten up! And finally, a brain-invading worm spread by rats has hit California. A brain-invading worm? Well, at least one man is safe. But spread by rodents? Well, I guess this guy's ass isn't. I don't get it.
Statute of limitations on that?
I don't get that joke at all. All right, so the government just released more documents about the death of Jeffrey Epstein, and they inspire about as much trust as a 2001 urine test from Barry Bonds. According to these records, one of the prison guards responsible for watching Epstein actually Googled him minutes before his body was found. And that same guard had made a mysterious $5,000 cash deposit days earlier, one of several unexplained deposits flagged by the bank. Now, maybe it's perfectly normal for the person guarding the most famous inmate in America to be surfing the web for info on him. Maybe she was also Googling the thread count for prison sheets. I hear anything under 400 is rough on your hands. But also simultaneously making random cash deposits that equal about a month's take-home pay, that seems like a red flag, the kind that could easily end up tied around someone's neck. Even harder to believe, an inmate said while medics were trying to revive Epstein, he heard a woman say, "If he's dead, we're going to have to cover it up, and he's going to have an alibi, my officers." Which sounds like something a villain would say to fill in the plot holes on Murder, She Wrote. But here's the real problem. By the time we get these revelations, what are we to believe? And that's not because we all suddenly became conspiracy theorists. No, it's because the original investigation into Epstein's death was handled like a middle school class project, where one kid goes through the motions while the rest eat glue. Let's recap. Epstein dies in 2019 while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. The official ruling, suicide by hanging. But the circumstances around that are shakier than Mitch McConnell on a Segway. That's according to the court. The guards fell asleep. The required 30-minute cell checks didn't happen. The surveillance cameras mysteriously malfunctioned. And the guards later admitted they falsified records saying they checked on him. All that's missing is, sorry, teacher, my dog ate the prisoner. That is not an investigation. That's the plot of Police Academy 10 Special Ed Division. That's the tragedy. When authorities botch the early stages of a case this badly, everything afterward gets dumped into the same bucket. Real evidence, weak evidence, internet rumors, cover-ups, Bill Clinton's nipple clamps. It all looks the same because nothing can be reliable. Think about it. Even the most basic questions about Epstein still exist, like where did all his money actually come from? This guy went from high school math teacher to globe-trotting financier with private jets, an island, a black book that looked like Oprah's Christmas card list. And the explanation we got? Well, you know, he managed money for rich people. Oh, well, that clears everything up. Turns out he's E.F. Hutton. Or EFF Hutton. But that's the thing about half-answered questions. They don't disappear. They fester. They multiply, like Elon Musk at a beauty pageant. So now when new revelations drop, people don't say, holy crap. They either shrug or assume the entire government is run by the Illuminati, Bigfoot, and the Loch Ness Monster. Because when institutions leave giant holes in a story, the internet fills them. If investigators had done their job properly from the start, secured the evidence, explained the timeline, answered the obvious questions, then we could evaluate new info like adults. Instead, we're stuck in a reality where every new fact gets treated with suspicion. It's like a fan letter addressed to Jesse Watters. We just assume it's fake. You lose public trust, which means that years later, the biggest mystery isn't just what happened in that cell. It's why the people responsible for uncovering the truth didn't try that hard. But then again, maybe that was the whole idea to begin with.
Let's welcome tonight's guest.
He exposed a fake daycare and looks young enough to be in one. Independent journalist Nick Shirley. He causes more troubles online than emails from Nigeria. Host of the You're Welcome podcast, Michael Malice. She pays her babysitter with Kohl's cash. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor, Captain. He's like a shower chair. Old ladies sit on him in the shower. Former NWA World Champion, host of Planet All right, Nick, welcome to the show. You're kind of a legend in these parts for all the work you've done. Is that sweatshirt? Can people buy that sweatshirt?
Of course.
You show, just pull up and show it.
ShirleyDefense.com.
Yeah.
Anyone can buy us.
What's it say?
Quality Leering Center, 1-800-FRAUD.
There you go. There you go. So I think this story is relevant to what you're doing in that there's no investigative reporting going on in what happened in that cell. What happened to investigative reporters that forced people like you to actually do the job?
Well, it turns out investigating stuff can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, I discovered that firsthand, but then you also see how incompetent the government can be when stuff's just right in their faces, yet they don't want to release the evidence or they don't want to prosecute the people.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's deliberately incompetent, or are they just that stupid?
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird that lady did get that $5,000.
Yes.
It's like maybe, and then also like $5,000 to kill somebody. I mean, how much money did she?
Well, my theory is that it may not be for her to kill anybody, but it could have been to allow him to kill himself, to turn everything off so they can't stop it, or to allow him to be removed and replaced with a person who looks just like Epstein, like his twin brother, Seth. A lot of people don't know about Seth Epstein. That's one conspiracy. Malice, are you a conspiracy theorist?
Well, isn't that the joke online that a conspiracy theory just means spoiler alert?
Yeah.
I am definitely a conspiracy theorist. The Constitution was a conspiracy. The Founding Fathers had no right to overthrow the government. They did so in secrecy. But people don't like using that word because people like the Founding Fathers. I think what's bizarre is that so much information is coming out, and it's intentionally designed to muddy the waters.
Exactly.
You have no way of determining who's looking for what. And I just hope this lady doesn't start Googling people like Fauci or Donald Trump or Fauci or J.D. Vance or Fauci or Mitch McConnell.
Did you go to the island?
You never been? It's the new Milan.
Kat, try to control. You guys, knock it off. You're gonna go. You get no dinner.
I'll be good.
Yes. It is weird. Okay, I don't think it's weird that she's Googling him. Like, you Google everything.
Yeah, and I know he was right over there, but let's not act like you've never checked the temperature on your phone.
Yeah.
Instead of just walking outside or opening a window.
Yeah.
But I do think, okay, when I Google things, though, if I'm really interested, I will Google it, and then I will Google it and add the word Reddit after, so I can get, that's where a lot more information is.
Mm-hmm.
But if she wanted even more information than that, she could have gotten up and gone to look at him. And it was her job to do that. I think that's what the difference is, right?
No, but why was she Googling? She was Googling him for some kind of information that we don't know what it is, right?
Yeah, I think all of the things together are what make it suspicious, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that everyone's just kind of nihilistic at this point. Like,
yes.
They don't feel like, they feel like anything. She could have Googled, like, did it come out yet that he hung himself before he hung himself?
Yeah.
That would be suspicious.
And people would be like, yeah, but like, you don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, do you? People would still not think that anything would happen because we keep seeing nothing come of anything ever. And we're all just kind of like, yep, we just live like this.
Yep.
Are you that she was Googling to see if he'd already been killed yet? Like, she didn't want to get up and check?
I mean,
she's sitting there going,
maybe,
did it happen?
Maybe she was, maybe she knew it was going to happen. She's like, do they know yet? No, but even if that were that came out the shoot, I think nothing would still come of it at this point.
Tyrus, black chicks, am I right?
Whatever do you mean, Greg?
Well, it's Women's History Month, and it was Black History Month. I wanted to honor both of them. Black chicks are amazing.
You're gonna need a bodyguard. They're bigger than you.
Everything's bigger than me.
Yeah. I think Kat's onto something. I think we should look at the time. Was the Google check during shift? Was the Google check the morning? Was it at the night when she checked out? I think that will open a lot of eyes. Also, you could scroll back her bank statements to see when was the last time she just got a random $5K in her account, or is it something over time? I think security getting paid to look the other way and not getting a lot of information is probably what happened. You throw 10 grand or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden they're curious, well, who is this guy? And they want to look it up. So it was probably after it was done and then looked it up. So I would say that they don't know much, but if you threw some prison terms at them or some stuff, you might get at least understand where it's coming from, the paper trail, where the money is coming from. And it's pretty lazy that if it was being deposited.
Yeah, and also only $5,000 to have someone killed. Well, that's bad.
But that's not. It's not to kill. It's to
look the other way.
To look the other way and take a nap.
Turning off the camera.
You're a willing idiot. You don't know. All you know is your part.
Yes.
They don't tell you the whole thing. They just tell you your part. So if you do get caught, you can only say, well, what'd you take it for? It was just there. So all she knows is that she took a nap.
Yeah.
Even so, I'd say there's a gender pay gap there.
Well, you also don't know what was under the table. The $5 grand could have been a deposit. Could have been 50 grand to look the other way.
Once again, black women are getting the short end of the stick on everything from criminal interventions to just, this is such a we have such white privilege, even when we're trying to kill people.
Didn't he have white privilege?
Oh yeah, he had.
Didn't work out good for him.
No, it didn't. All right, up next.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.